Okay, now as I'm going to be fitting an EDF ducted fan in this, I'm going to cut this section out. If I was intending to just use a pusher prop and not an EDF, I would leave that area intact. In fact, I will leave it intact until I've fitted the tailplane, the elevators and the bearings for the fully flying elevators. These are not elevons on this one, as we've got ailerons on the wings. I will, however, cut out this area, which is where the exhaust tube will fit. Now I'm going to leave that area there intact for the time being to give it a little bit more strength around this area. I'm going to cut out all the slots. I'll probably skip past this little bit. I'm sure you all know how to cut out slots. Okay, that's the slots cut out. Now I'm going to try and find my trusty pin and go through and prick all these areas again, because I will be removing this paper. I'm going to mark again with a pin all the way around the cutout for EDF. I'm going to mark where the ailerons need to be cut out. I'm going to mark where the cone for the scoop, for the EDF scoop, is going to sit. I'm going to mark where the top section and the bottom section, although the bottom section I can see goes there between the slots, so probably not a lot of point in that one. I can take that from the pattern. And I'm also going to mark where the carbon fibre spar is going to be. I'll also mark where the hinge is going to be for the ailerons. Sorry, the elevators. And where the doublet is going to sit. Okay, I can take that off now. See, there will I draw around these sections. That's where the nose piece is going to sit. Something like that. And I've sanded that and cleaned it. That's where she's going to slide onto the marks there. Just need to sand a little bit out of the slot there to make it slide on properly. But that's where it's going to sit. Okay, now this is going to be the top, so on the underneath, on the underside, I'm going to go through with a pin right through. You can see where the spar is going to go. And if your ruler's not long enough, simply put one ruler at the side of the other like that, and you can get a line right through. Move it to one side, draw the line, then you can come down and you've got a nice straight line between the points. Same thing again. Okay. Four millimeter carbon fibre tube, cheap as chips, from, it's a very, very light carbon fibre 4 millimeter from Hobby King. First of all, I'm just going to rough it up with a bit of sandpaper. Okay, and I believe, yes, I've made the cutout for the carbon fibre spar exactly 750 millimeters long, which is the length of the carbon fibre tube. So once again I'm going to put my rulers on there and cut the first line about halfway through again. I'm not going to go all the way. Depending what size carbon fibre tube you decide to use will depend on the width of the slot that you cut. I'm going to guess somewhere about there for my 4mm. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a little screwdriver, just a little fine screwdriver, and I'm going to peel out this strip of Dipron just by simply flicking the you can see it's peeling out nicely. I'm not going right through. I'm just going about halfway, maybe a bit deeper. I like to use 4mm because I used to use 6mm. It's totally unnecessary, and it also means that you have to cut right through the 6mm Dipron. Doing it this way, you can leave the top intact. You can see it, but at least it's intact. And then what I do, I just simply press that in, like that, and then try it to make sure it's going to fit okay, which it fits very nicely. Now, a few ways you can do this. Larry seems to think that you could simply tape both sides and set this in the middle, or a light coating of epoxy, 2-part epoxy. I've used all the different methods and probably find the easiest method is to, you don't need to do this necessarily, but, and especially if you're using foam board, be careful putting the tape on, that when you take the tape off it doesn't rip all the paper off. What I'm going to do with this, I'm going to simply put a bead of hot glue down inside the slot. Not a lot of hot glue, I'm just going to put a a light bead. In there. Sit that in there, make sure it's right in. It's important to make sure that you've got the carbon fibre tube right into the slot and it's not sticking up at all. And make sure you hold it flat. Keep it flat while it dries. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to get a bit of scrap and I get a couple of bits of scrap and I'm going to put a bead of hot dirt just into the centre of that. I'm going to scrape it off like that. The same at this side. And that will almost suffice. I might just run a little bit down the side. Just a light bead down there. And again scrape it off. And the same at this side. So essentially what I've done, I've put a little bead down the bottom of the slot and then a small bead down either side of the carbon fibre spar. Scraped most of it off and now I'll remove the tape. We've got a nice, neat carbon fibre spar set in there. Very, very quick and easy. If you've got easier ways, neater ways, then go for it. But that's the way I found. So I've tried all sorts. I've tried mixing epoxy and sitting and waiting and putting weights on it and leaving it, and it just takes too long. I don't have time to build slow. I'm 70. What is it? 2015. I'm 71. Tomorrow? No, not tomorrow. On the 8th, which is Wednesday. So I don't have time to build slow. I have to build quick because I might not be around long enough. So, there we go. That's the carbon fibre spar in place. Very quick, very easy. Now, what I'm going to do, I have all sorts of little tools that I use. Bits of sandpaper wrapped around bits of tube, various sizes, bits of that's a bit of aluminium tube, that's a bit of wooden dowel. Very good for sanding foam. And this one is especially made for sanding out slots. Especially with this one, because, as I said, I need to open them up a little bit to take the 6mm better one, because they were designed for 5mm foam. So this makes a quick look. Quick and easy. All these little handmade tools that you make different life with. And of course you can never ever, don't care how good you are, you can never cut cardboard or Dacron square. It always goes out at an angle one way or the other. If somebody's got a secret way to do it, tell me. But it's not necessary. Now I can try a little bit of Dacron in each of the slots, and yes, I'm sure it's going to fit. Yep. Okay. This is the top. So I think what I might do is mark, so I don't forget that I'm going to be cutting this part out, so I'm going to mark it top, because otherwise I'll forget and I'll turn it up this way and I'll have the damn spar on top. And so, okay.